And I said, look, man, I'm really comfortable in this hotel. It's all right, it's not bad. And it's cool. And they said, no, it won't do. You're too far away from us. We want people to have access to you 24 hours a day. I said, well, all right then, let's go. So he says, I want you to stay in my house. But he doesn't even stay in the house. He got all these strange people. And I had a room, and they had to clean it up and spray for mosquitoes and close all the windows. And they had a separate room for a toilet and a shower. And I said, well, at least that's not bad. They had this, I don't know what you call these toilets, where you have this container on top that holds the water, and then you have a little hole, they call them squatters, literally a hole in the ground. And you pull the chain. And I said, well, I guess, you know, I guess I could deal with that. I can do that. So I took care of my business. I'm down there squatting, and I get up and I pull the chain, and nothing happens. I said, wow, wouldn't you know it? Maybe it's out of water. Maybe I don't understand how to fill it up. So I started moving this thing around, and a big lizard about that big jumped around. Either the lizard or Runoko was leaving the bathroom. So I mean, I would, from time to time, be in somebody's house, and I just see a lizard up on the side of the wall. And nobody's noticing it. I'm eating and I'm looking at the lizard all at the same time. And you know, I'm not squeamish or anything, but I ain't crazy about lizards and snakes when you can't see them. It kind of gives you the creeps. So we leave for a place in the south of Bihar called Bodh Gaya. And before we get to Bodh Gaya, we stop at a place called Nalanda. Nalanda is the site of an ancient Buddhist monastery and university. It covers 62 miles. Imagine that, a university covering 62 miles, all made of brick. And we stopped there and we walked over the ruins. And then we went to a place called Bodh Gaya. Bodh Gaya is important because this is the place where the Buddha is supposed to have received enlightenment. They actually have a branch of the original Bodhi tree. That's what the bookstore is named after. The Bodhi, they planted a branch, and now it's a big, massive tree. And they have a big temple there, built by a Buddhist king, and they have a black Buddha inside it. And that's why I took a picture of it. And I went and sat under the Bodhi tree, thinking that maybe the Buddha sat in this very spot. And I was ready to go after that. But the guy who I was with, a guy named Buddha Sharon Hans, insisted that I meet the monks who were running this place, who themselves were untouchables, although they were Buddhists. So we chatted. They said, well, we're very familiar with your work. Now, I was shocked. And these guys were telling me they knew the name Runoko Rashidi in that part of India. So it was an honor. But unfortunately, we talked too long, and we couldn't get back that night. You can't drive some places at night because on the road you have these big craters. You have donkeys, horses, cows, chickens, goats, water buffalo, ox, people, motorcycles, motor scooters, little cars, big cars, and trucks, and there are no lights. So it was decided we can't leave tonight, which is a disappointment to me because this was not the sort of place I wanted to stay. And we finally stayed in a place called a circuit house. In the outskirts of the city, you couldn't see anything. All you could hear was crickets, cricket. And mosquitoes just swarming all over you. So the guy says, are you going to be comfortable here? I like, well, what else are we going to do? We sleep in the car? So they put me in a room with a big mosquito net and a big lizard on the wall and ants all in the bathroom. But I'm saying, that's all right, I'm in India. This is what I paid my money for. I was ready for this. I'm a soldier in the Army of African Liberation and Redemption. Nothing was going to turn me around. So I'm getting ready to go to bed. I'm under the mosquito net, and I hear a big knock on the door. Now, who could this be? So Buddha Sharon Hans comes and says, Runoko, real stern. I said, what happened? You were cool a minute ago. He says, Runoko, under no circumstances are you to open this door for anyone. We leave at 5 a.m. And I don't care what they say, don't let anybody in this room. How do you think I slept that night? I'm looking for somebody to break in. I got both eyes open. I couldn't wait to get out of there. Now, as it happened, when we got back to Patna the next morning, without mishap, there's the physicians waiting for me. Runoko, where you been? says, I'm ready to take you to a tribal area. I said, really? Now this is like 350 kilometers away. These are the people I'm going to show you in the slides. Tribal people, black people. And I never thought I would get a chance to go to one of these places in my lifetime. I said, we going? He says, yeah. 2 hours. So we get a driver who drives literally like a demon. Foot all the way down. And every now and then I would say, man, why don't you slow down? He would just dare me. Like, who do you think you are telling me how to drive? I said, just go ahead. Do what you got to do. Nobody hardly speaks English. The doctor couldn't go with me. And I heard him say, before I left, he says, he is to experience no discomfort, pointing to me. I said, how much is the trip going to cost? He said, 1,500 rupees. I offered him the money. He said, man, I wouldn't take any money from you. You're on tour. If you get a chance when you come back to the United States, send some for the school.
Wonderful.
I'm going to help build that school.
Wonderful.
We're going to help build that school. So finally, after about 8 hours, we get to the tribal area. Now, we're supposed to have been there in 3 hours. 3 hours passed, we ain't anywhere close. Well, how close are we? Another 2 hours. 2 hours passed, well, we should be there by now. Probably another 2 hours. Another hour passed. Man, where we at? Man, we're on the way. You want to stop for tea? You want a cold drink? You want coffee? I said, man, I want to get to the tribal area. He said, which tribal area? I said, the Munda. He said, you sure you don't want to go see the Centaurs? I said, the Munda. You mean the Orion? The Munda. So he said, okay, I'll get you there. How long is it going to take? About another 2 hours. Now, by this time, the sun is starting to set. And I don't want to get stuck out there. I don't want to be in another one of those circuit houses. So I'm looking at the sun like you do in a vampire movie when the sun is going down and you want to get in before Dracula starts to hang. So finally, I said, ancestors, if you just let me see these people, I won't bother you for a long time. This is something I implore you, I must see. And you know, it seemed like the ancestors must have been with me on that trip. Because right after that, we found a village. And black people start streaming out of the village, poor, dirty, just like the Dome, and just like the people in the village. But this is a tribal area called Hazaribagh. One brother came out of a hut with a monkey around his neck. I said, man, this is India. And they walked me all around, and some of them started crying. Not because they were overjoyed to see me. They weren't crying for tears, but they were crying of anger because they were showing me just how they had been abused and mistreated, how the women had been so sexually exploited. So these, I gave some more money to. And they didn't resist at all. But they weren't begging, they weren't demanding. They accepted anything I gave them, and I gave all the children in the villages pencils. So I brought plenty of those. I learned that from Dr. Ben. So, that's the highlight of Bihar. The next day I took a 28-hour train ride. It was miserable. To the center of the country. And you can see two things in particular. One is, you can look outside and see small shrines called satis, S-A-T-I. A sati is a woman who has committed suicide. She has set herself on fire in order to, and when your husband dies, now this is a society where it's totally male-oriented. India is only one of 2 countries in the world where there are more men than women. Because if they fight, they will murder girl children in a minute. Or they'll abort a girl child once they find out, oftentimes if it's a female. It is said in India in ancient times that a female is never independent. When she is a child, she belongs to her father, and when she outlives her, when she grows up, she belongs to her husband, and she outlives her husband, she belongs to her son. So she can't inherit any property. So committing the sati was an honorable thing to do. It was taught. And this is exploitation of women. Now they would have the funeral pyre, and they put the body on it and put flammable liquids on it, particularly a liquid called ghee, G-H-E-E. And the eldest son would take a torch and light the fire. Now when the flame starts to burning high, it's the widow's function to jump on the flame, jump on the fire, and that way she continues to serve her husband. And she saves both souls, his stuff, for 35 million years. And she becomes a goddess. So all over the landscape, you can see these little shrines. It's a horrible exploitation of women. Sometimes children, they have these arranged marriages. And I read about a girl who was 4 years old who was married. I married a 4-year-old child. 4 women in India.